Hello and welcome back for another new episode of Let's Talk. Our hiatus is over, and since I've been gone, we've switched gears to the winter sports season. That means basketball and a lot of it, which is right up my alley, by the way. So we will get this show started. I'm your host, Chad Landers. Thanks for joining us. On a normal episode of Let's Talk, we'd cover all kinds of local sports topics. But on this show, we're doing things a bit different. It's going to be our LL League basketball preview show. Had so much fun last year, bringing it back for another time here. Lots to talk about, but we've got to get to, before we get to previewing 2017, let's take a quick look back at 2016. A very entertaining year in the LL League, and just to refresh your memory, Lebanon won the boys Section 1 title with a 13-1 record. Lampeter Strasburg beat Mannheim Central in a one-game playoff for the Section 2 boys title. Lancaster Mennonite, a perfect run through Section 3. Their schedule 14-0. On the girls' side, Cedar Crest was a perfect 14-0, also on their way to a Section 1 title. LS won the girls' Section 2 crown over Donegal and Cocalico. Tight race in Section 3, Northern Lebanon victorious over Lancaster and Lebanon Catholic. How could we also forget about the career scoring chase in Mannheim for Taylor Funk, as he just inched past Hillary Waltman for the all-time scoring record in a Baron uniform, 1,977 points. That's really good, and we certainly miss Taylor this year. He's all the way killing it in Philadelphia for St. Joe's as a freshman. So let's get to 2017. Lots to address here. We'll start with all the new coaching changes. There are a lot. How about 5 brand new LL coaches on the boys' side? Kevin Dolan is now in charge of Donegal. William Sanchez leads Lebanon Catholic. Thad Rittenhouse is in at Pequea Valley, and here's probably the most interesting change. Charlie Fisher leaves the Ephrata boys program to go back to Mannheim Central, so Jonathan Treese steps in to fill his shoes in Mounts Country. We will have much more on that coaching carousel in just a minute. To the girls' side now, 3 new coaches here. Thomas Bachman at Donegal, Ryan Shannon at Anvil Cleona, and Kendra Beitel at Hempfield, which means a lot of veteran coaches still remain in girls' LL League position. Okay, as promised, we've got a lot to talk about and only 30 minutes to do it. Right now, we need to step aside to pay those bills, but when we get back, we're focusing on the biggest coaching change this offseason. It completely changed everything for the Ephrata and Mannheim Central boys basketball programs. That and a whole lot more coming up next on Let's Talk. Stay with us. And welcome back. We are now joined by the new head coach of Mannheim Central boys basketball, Charlie Fisher, back on the bench here in Mannheim where, Coach Sherwood was. You were the assistant, but only you're in charge. So how's that feel?
Feels great.
Yeah.
It's great to be back. Couldn't be happier.
All right, so we have to kind of go back and talk about the decision to move from Ephrata to here. By the way, Ephrata's program doing really well. So some kudos to you for kind of
getting them
heading in the right direction. But you decide to come back here.
Yes.
What went into that process? And honestly, how hard was that decision to kind of leave there and come back? And how was that conversation you had with the guys in Ephrata before you came back?
The decision itself on a personal level, a career standpoint, wasn't overly difficult. But what was difficult was when you think about the players and who you're going to negatively affect for the time being. So the decision is difficult when you're looking at a 1 or 2 year window. But when I was looking at a career, it wasn't overly difficult when I'm looking at the career perspective, because I love my teaching job. I love the Mannheim community, and it just makes more sense for my family for me to go to one location and stay there. Again, it was hard to say bye to the guys.
So now we go forward with this season.
Yeah.
There's no longer a 6'9" guy hanging out on offense and defense for you guys. Taylor Funk, he's gone. He's at St. Joe's. He's absolutely killing it, by the way.
Yes, he is.
Really like what he's doing. What does this Mannheim Central team kind of have? What's the makeup of this year's team?
Well, we do have the surprise factor, because I'm sure there are a lot of people that have written us off to this point because, I mean, you can't replace a Taylor Funk. But we have 2 starters back. We have Jake Novak and Connor Hostetter, and we have a lot of juniors and freshmen and a couple sophomores that just love to play basketball. And we have guys that are dedicated, willing to work hard, and they listen. They listen to everything I say, everything my coaches say, and it's been awesome. But I think we do have the surprise factor in our back pocket. That helps us.
Okay, so that'll work. That'll work in your favor, except that you're going to play in Section 2.
Yes, we are.
Section 2 is going to be tough. There's
insanely tough.
Really good teams, right? So kind of tell us a little bit about what you foresee going on in Section 2 and how Manheim fits in there.
I mean, Section 2 top to bottom is going to be great. You have great players, you have great coaches, great teams, and where we fit, I honestly don't know yet. And I mean, on Tuesday we had a scrimmage. It was the first time I ever coached these guys. First time. I mean, in an actual real game with officials and a clock, and it was the first time, and it was kind of cool, and I was happy with how everything turned out. To say where I think we should fall, I'm not sure, but I do know Ephrata is back, and they're tough, and they know what to do, and they know how to win.
Motivated.
Totally motivated, and you have, I mean, LS, the Beers boy, going back, and Ryan Smith, and I mean, I don't think Garden Spot's being given enough credit. They're another surprise team, I think. They have some great players, and I mean, top to bottom, every team, every coach has something to work with in our section, and that's a cool thing. Section 2, it's fun.
Good.
Definitely.
Yeah. We're looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So you have to follow Coach Sherwood and what he's done here in his second stint with the Manheim coaching. Built kind of a legacy here. I mean, they had a really good run. So are you looking forward to building on to what he has established? And also, is it going to be hard to get out of his shadow of what he's done? How does that work?
The first thing I said to the guys, and I mean this wholeheartedly, we aren't restarting everything. We're just keeping the program going. I'm not the type of person that worries about a shadow or anything like that in the minds of people. If we lose a couple games in a row this season and they say, I wish Coach Sherwood was back, well, he's a great coach. Of course. I mean, who wouldn't want Coach Sherwood to run their program? Him and I talk all the time. He's my mentor. He's taught me just about everything that I know when it comes to the coaching aspect of basketball. But these guys, they've bought into everything that I've said to them. It's a lot of the same language that has been used before. We did put in a different offense, something that is new, and a couple defenses that we're trying to work with. But all in all, I've been in the community for 9 years. I love it. I'm just gonna put my all into what we got, and I enjoy competing, and I enjoy being around kids, and that's why I do this, and that's why my wife allows me to do it, because she sees the passion that I have for coaching.
Well, we appreciate it. Thank you so much for talking with us.
Definitely.
And good luck this season. We're excited to kind of see what actually goes on with the program.
Yeah. Thank you.
Should also mention, last game of the season is here in Manheim against the Ephrata Mounts.
Yes, it is.
So it should be a lot of fun.
Yes, it is.
We're looking forward to that.
Thank you.
I'm sure you are too.
Yeah. We got Cedar Crest first.
Oh, nice. Great answer. As always, love to chat with Coach Fisher. Wish them the best of luck as the season gets underway. But we're not done with the ramifications of Coach Fisher changing programs. He really had the Ephrata Mounts headed in the right direction. First winning season in quite some time, and almost everybody returns for the Mounts, so we decided to pay them a visit to see how they're adjusting to a new man in charge.
I live in Ephrata. I'm a community member. I have been for 5 years. It's been a dream of mine to want to coach in my own community.
Well, that dream has become a reality, as Jonathan Treese is now the newest head coach of the Ephrata boys basketball program. He takes over for Charlie Fisher, who went back to Manheim Central to run their boys program. The current Mounts players say that was tough to deal with, but they're moving forward in a new positive direction.
It was a little tough, but we're getting through it. Coach Fisher is a really good coach, but Coach Treese is also a really good coach, and we're really liking him, and he's letting us kind of have a say in what we do this year.
He's been really good for us. He's kept us going and stuff, so really thankful for him. He's came in late notice. I mean, you can't really do much after that.
You guys can all split up in these 4 lines.
A late start to his tenure as Mounts head man in charge, but Coach Treese has a lot of talented players on the roster, which should help ease the transition.
Right away, I noticed that we have some excellent leadership. Guys that have played a lot of minutes. They've been a part of a winning season now. They've learned a whole lot about winning.
Feeling really good. I think we got a strong 5 and we got a good bench, and I think we have a really good chance.
Everybody's returning, and we all have at least 3 years under our belt, and especially Sam, he's got 4, so.
We kind of can do almost anything. We can run, we can play defense, so we kind of have all the pieces. We just need to put them together and make it a good year.
You know, for a coach to come in and walk into that, that's like a coach's dream because that makes life a whole lot easier for you.
With all their talent, the Mounts will be a marked team this year in Section 2, so they'll have to lock in on their vaunted defense, push the pace on offense, knock down those three-pointers like they did last year. If they do all of that as one cohesive unit, there's no way they'll be left out of the Section 2 title race this year.
Center up!
Last year we watched the game on TV, the section championship game, and we were all kind of a little bit mad about that we weren't in that. So I think everyone has a little bit of a chip on their shoulder.
We have a really good shot at winning the section.
We know that we won section title, but one game at a time.
We should definitely win a lot of games, a lot more than, I think we should win like 5 or 6 more than last year.
I don't see any reason why we should ever shy away from our upperclassmen committing to those goals.
So there you have it, a couple of major storylines from boys hoops in the LL League, but we have so much more still to come. Next up, we're joined by a special guest expert on LL basketball. It is John Walk from Lancaster Online, knows his stuff, and we will chat with him next. And welcome back to Let's Talk. We have got a great guest on the program, never been here before, so it's your very first time. It's sports reporter John Walk with LNP Newspaper, one of the best over there in the sports department, and we thank you very much for coming on in.
Thanks for the kind words, Chad.
Yeah, it's your first appearance here, so we have to be kind, so you want to come back, right?
Well, for folks who aren't familiar out there, I did intern under Brian Cast many years ago, so everything I know I learned from him.
Oh,
right?
wow. Well, you're doing good for yourself. All right, so we have you on here because your beat for the newspaper is boys basketball. So we want to get you in here, get everything you know about it. You've been out and about to all the practices. Let's start with Section 1, the big boys. What have you found out so far there? Some of the teams maybe that are going to be contending for the Section 1 title.
Well, Cedar Crest is the early favorite for me there anyway. They bring back 4 of their top 6 scorers, including guard Blake Thompson and the 6'6" senior forward Cole Laney. They have a lot of returning talent. They had 15 wins last year. They are 2 years removed from that awesome run when Evan Horn was in town. Now it's Logan Horn kind of steering the ship there.
Okay.
That's basically it. I mean, outside of that, you go down the line as far as Township, Hempfield, Lebanon, Warwick, Conestoga Valley. They all bring back like 1 or 2 awesome guys, double-figure scorers, but there's a lot of new faces around them. So I'm going with Cedar Crest as my early pick there, but I could see a run either from Lebanon, Hempfield, Township, maybe Warwick, maybe McCaskey. We have to kind of wait and see the first couple weeks what they have there and the new faces.
It is early, and obviously we are keeping an eye on Warwick and Conestoga Valley. Warwick has a bunch of new players, so we'll see what they have, and we'll have to kind of wait and see there. Moving to Section 2, I think Section 2 is going to be really fun. A ton of our local teams are in Section 2, but again, Section 2 has a lot of teams. They could all really challenge for the title, and you've been out to a bunch of them, so why don't you tell people kind of what you've found out?
Yeah, so obviously I think everybody is familiar with Section 2, probably thinks Effort is their early favorite there. Coming off a 16-win season, a district qualifier, they bring back just about everybody from that team. However, the Mountaineers, brand new coach Jonathan Treese coming over from Muhlenberg, where he was a coach the last 4 years. Plus the thing with the Mountaineers last year, they won defensively, which is great, but they struggled on the other side of the ball. And by the way, they lost Micah Crowder to graduation. He's now at Penn State Berks having a really good year. And three-point shooter Brendan Holberter is gone as well. So yeah, while they bring back a ton of talent, they have a new coach and they're going to have to figure some things out offensively. But if they get that done, fine. That's the only reason I like Effort as the early favorite there. But if you go down the line, man, Lampeter, Strasburg, Garden Spot, Cocalico, Elizabethtown, they all bring back a ton of talent. Oh, and by the way, Donegal, only 1 win last year, but they have a new coach, Kevin Dolan, previously coached at Elizabethtown. They bring back 4 of their starters. They get a transfer in from Columbia who averaged double figures. So the Indians are going to give people a run for their money too. So that that whole section is stacked from top to bottom.
Right, yeah. We really like Effort, obviously. A lot of the talent, we talked to them, they said that, you know, a lot of time spent together all the way up from 7th grade. So they're a tight-knit unit. I think they're going to be okay. Cocalico, I just like kind of the athletes that they have there. We should mention Aiden Trinosky, probably
third-year starter.
One of the better scorers in the LL League.
And second-year coach for the Eagles and Seth Sigmund.
That's right.
Now second year under their system.
And then Garden Spot. We shouldn't sleep on Garden Spot. Garden Spot's been giving us some flack for sleeping on them.
Yeah, 15 wins. They did lose some size to graduation, but they have a senior guard there in Jordan Jordan Shoebridge averaged almost 14 a game. Keontae Nunn is back there. They have a lot of guards back, so they're going to be pushing the pace and probably shooting a lot from the perimeter. I don't know. I don't see anybody really sizable in that section outside of Lampeter Strasburg with the forward Ryan Smith. He's already committed to East Stroudsburg. Oh, and while we're talking about LS, they get the transfer. Isaac Beers played for the Pioneers 2 years ago, played at Lancaster Mennonite last year. Now he's transferred back to Lampeter Strasburg. So you have a really awesome guard in Isaac Beers, really awesome forward in Ryan Smith at Lampeter Strasburg, and it's a second year under their head coach there as well.
Yeah. And then, of course, Manheim Central, we're still waiting to kind of see what's going on there. Charlie Fisher goes from Ephrata to Manheim. Not a ton of returners other than Connor Hostetter, so we're kind of waiting and seeing.
Yeah, I feel like this year for Manheim Central is going to remind us a little bit like 2 years ago when he was the first-year coach at Ephrata, where he had a lot of fresh young faces and kind of building his program. I don't know if they're going to crack the win column all that much this year, but I think it'll be interesting to see just the kind of growing pains that they go through and maybe look for them as a contender next year.
Cool. And then Section 3, we have to hit that really quick. Don't want to leave them out, but we don't really follow Section 3 a ton. So do you have just a little bit to kind of fill us in there?
Yeah, it's interesting. You go down the line almost top to bottom. Almost everybody is reloading. Lancaster Mennonite, Lancaster Catholic, Elko, Pequea Valley, and Columbia, all pretty much brand new faces. Yeah, they have one or two guys coming back, but a lot of guys stepping up from JV to varsity. That's a section that we're probably really not going to know much about until, I don't know, maybe early to mid-January.
Wow,
once we kind of see things. My only early favorite there is probably Annville Cleona. They had 13 wins last year, and they bring back 4 of their top 6 scorers. So the Little Dutchman might be able to get it done in that section this year. It's always a tough section because Lancaster Mennonite and Lancaster Catholic always kind of seem to reload every year. And yeah, they have some nice pieces, but if you ask me right now, I'd just go with Annville as the early favorite there.
Like that.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick again, we're running out of time. Want to hit on maybe just a few guys for Player of the Year, preseason, Player of the Year candidates here.
Okay, I'll start, we'll go Section 1, 2, and 3. Yep. Section 1, check on Hempfield, Ryan Moffitt.
He's good.
Guy's clutch. His middle name should be Clutch if it isn't already.
Yeah.
Manheim Township, Tyler Crespo, the point guard, third-year starter. He's awesome, probably one of the hardest working guys in the league, and he's a junior this year. I talked to him already this season. He said he's looking to pass the ball and get a lot of his guys more involved. He averaged almost 18 a game last year. Section 2, I'll move down Lampeter Strasburg, forward Ryan Smith, East Stroudsburg commit, plus they also have Isaac Beers on the outside. Those guys are going to get it done there. Effort of the point guard, Dylan Becker, along with forward Brad DeBella. By the way, DeBella can step out and knock down the 3 as well.
He's a big guy too.
We mentioned garden spot with the guard Jordan Shoebridge. That kid averaged 13.6 a game last year. Cocalico senior guard, third-year starter, Aiden Trynoski. Averaged about 12 a game last year. I think a lot of teams were keying on him. He has a lot of talent around him this season. I think this is going to be a really awesome season for him. Donegal senior guard Avery Walker averaged 16 a game last year. Finally, Section 3, just want to throw a few names out there. Lancaster Mennonite, John Gillespie, and point guard Carter Hurst are 2 or 3 year starters. Lancaster Catholic senior guard Miles McCaskey.
Love that name.
Senior, he was basically their 6th man off the bench last year, and he's going to be, taking on an even bigger role this year. I really liked what I saw out of him last season, so I'm looking for him to take the next step.
Awesome. All right.
If they can kind of take a breath after
I'm glad you could take a breath after that. All right. Thank you so much for coming in. If you guys want to follow all of John's work, we can go online to Lancaster Online and search the sports section, or you can go onto Twitter. He's on there a lot, at JWalkLNP. Thanks so much for coming in.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hope you enjoyed your stay here. Hopefully that's all you need to know about the boys' teams, and now we will turn our attention to the girls. So stay tuned. Their preview is coming up after the break. We're back here on Let's Talk, and we've already gotten a preview about the LL boys teams. Now let's talk about the girls squads. Some of the stronger teams this year are actually going to come from Section 3. That's right. Watch out for teams like Lancaster Catholic, Lebanon Catholic. The Beavers won District 3 and state titles last season. Most of their starters are back this year, including Division I recruit Alexis Hill. She averaged 19 points per game and was hard to stop all postseason long. Joining her is Elko's Taylor Bossard, who transferred in. With her 13 points per game, she can really shoot the 3. But they will have to contend with Lancaster Catholic's Kiki Jefferson, who led the entire LL League with 21.9 points per game. The Crusaders also have Lauren Mills, who can chip in 12 points to go along there. In Section 2, LS is the defending champ. They'll be challenged once again by Donegal and Cocalico. Maybe a surprise team this year adding into that Manheim Central. Lady Barons had a ton of young players last year, especially freshman sensations Laura Good and Cassidy Michael, who gained valuable varsity minutes and should be much improved. Plus, Central could be loaded with upperclassmen. Good things coming for Manheim. As for Cocalico, they lost their 4 best players to graduation and a couple more to knee injuries, so Coach Andrew Garrett will have to fill some major gaps on his team with youth and inexperience. But Cocalico always finds a way to be competitive, and I expect that to continue this season. Ephrata suffered through a rare down year. They lose a fantastic player in Caroline Stauffer, who is among the all-time scorers in girls program history, as well as owning the 3-point record. Lady Mounts will be young, and we will have to wait and see if last year's growing pains translates into success on the court. Finally, Section 1 for girls, Cedar Crest loses dynamic scorer Ariel Jones, which brings the rest of the pack closer to the Falcons. J.P. McCaskey, Hempfield, Manheim Township will all challenge. Warwick has some big roles to fill, namely 4-year starter Riley Dirk. She takes her 1,000-point scoring and rebounding and 3-point shooting and overall team leadership off to college to Kutztown, leaving the Warriors with no seniors on the roster. That's a big hurdle to clear, but Coach Garber has a lot of promising young players. We will see how good this team is in the beginning of the season as they make an appearance on BRC 11 in early December. So there's your sneak peek. We've got to head to another break here, but coming up, we will have a closer look at our BRC 11 basketball broadcast schedule for this winter. See who's playing who on the channel and when those big showdowns are happening, like Manheim Central and Cocalico boys, as well as the Ephrata and Cocalico girls. Stay tuned. More Let's Talk in just a minute. Welcome back. We're in our final segment here on Let's Talk. Hope you've enjoyed our LO League basketball preview. Right now, we're going to take a look at the BRC 11 broadcast schedule for the hoop season. There are 17 games scheduled to air on BRC 11, and we tip things off on Monday, December 11th, with the Manheim Central boys hosting Cedar Crest. As we've said, Manheim has a new coach, so we'll get our first look at the Barons on the court. Then on December 13th, it's our annual doubleheader with Ephrata and Warwick. This year, the games take place in Lidditz, with the girls playing first at 6:30, then the boys following at 8 o'clock. Join us for what is always a great night of basketball on the channel. There's plenty more exciting matchups on the court that we have live on BRC 11 Wednesday, December 20th. Cocalico Lady Eagles face the Ephrata Lady Mounts. Right before Christmas, we've got a wild showdown on the boys' side between Section 1 rivals Hempfield and Warwick. Of course, there are plenty of good ones in the new year as well, like this juicy matchup between Ephrata and Manheim Central boys, January 12th. Coaching storylines alone will be fun to follow here, not to mention all of the talent that they have on the basketball court. For a complete list of our basketball broadcast schedule, go over to our blog, news11sports.tv. Check things out over there. It's going to be another fantastic winter season, so make sure you join us for all the fun. I'll be a part of our broadcast once again this season. Really love for all of you to tune in and enjoy our coverage. But for now, that will do it for another new episode of Let's Talk. Hope it was helpful in getting you ready for another basketball season, because winter is finally here. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Chad Landers, and I'm sure we'll have more to talk about next time.